Hey, what's up, guys? It's Russo, and I'm back for today's NBA slate on Wednesday, February 5th. I was away for a little bit. I had my first child. Super excited, on cloud nine, as you would expect, despite getting like 2 hours of sleep a night over the last like 5 days. But yeah, it's been awesome. Everything is starting to flow smoothly now with our schedule. We're, back kind of getting adjusted to the new schedule, but we're back home, and yeah, I'm excited to get back on schedule with putting videos out because I love doing this, So I've got 4 plays for you for today's slate. If you guys don't mind, do me a favor, like the video, drop me a comment, whatever you want to do. It really helps me out a lot with the algorithm. So I'm going to just jump straight into the plays that I'm getting into today. Honestly, because of the whirlwind of the last few days, I feel like I've been away from everything for I got to get back into the swing of things. So I'm just doing 1 unit on each of these. I'm going 1 unit flex, 1 unit power. But I like these 4 plays here. This is what I'm getting into. I like DeMar DeRozan over 28 points, rebounds, and assists. CJ McCollum over 29.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Zach Edey, I think is how you say it, Edey, 24.5 fantasy score, because I love his defensive upside. And then Brandin Podziemski over 16.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And man, I thought about making a video about the Luka Doncic trade. I'm not going to take too long because I want to get these plays to you guys and get this video uploaded, but I don't understand anybody's opinion saying like this made sense for the Mavericks. Like, with all due respect, I'm not trying to say I'm right and you guys are wrong, but to me, if I am the owner of the Mavericks, Luka is absolutely untouchable, no chance. Dude is in his prime still, he's young. You do not get an opportunity to land a player like Luka Doncic very often. He's like a generational talent. Something weird's going on there. That makes absolutely no sense. And to not try to shop him around, if you even are going to move him, very weird situation. And I've always loved Luka. It's always haunted me that my sons took DeAndre Ayton over him. That felt like one of the biggest, draft blunders, ever. And I would always think to myself, like, man, imagine what Luka and Booker would have been like together. That would have been so fun. But I always thought, like, yeah, that's just a pipe dream at this point. The Mavs are never going to let him go. And then out of nowhere, this weird situation pops up, and I'm on the side of this was a huge mistake. I know Anthony Davis is great, but Luka Doncic, that's so weird to me. But let's start getting into these plays. So DeMar DeRozan, first of all, for starters, he's cleared this in every head-to-head. This is a expected value play on Outlier. So if we look at the matchup against Orlando, who's been super confusing, they seem like they got to iron some things out. They started off so hot at the beginning of the season, and then bringing these guys back like Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner from like post injury, post the time they missed, it seems like a totally different team, and weird coaching decisions in my opinion. But I think that DeMar DeRozan should be able to pop off tonight. So 9th in points allowed, 9th in rebounds allowed, 1st in assists allowed to shooting guards. We know that he will be playing without De'Aaron Fox tonight. So, new situation here. But yeah, he's cleared this in every head-to-head. If we look at the last 5, I believe, let's double check here. You would expect his role to be significantly different. I know that they got Zach LaVine coming in, and I don't think he'll have too much trouble adjusting, but DeMar is already in this system. I'm just kind of curious. I don't even know if I can look this up. I was kind of wanting to see if De'Aaron Fox was already gone by this time. I don't think it's going to let me because he's off the roster now. Let me see. Let's just try it. Oh, there he was. Okay, games without De'Aaron Fox. So yeah, that game against Minnesota was, and he popped off for 45. And then, yeah, just for a little extra information, there's games that he was out before he got traded. In those games, DeMar cleared 4 out of the last 5 games without De'Aaron Fox. Well, not actually. Okay, so some of this is dating back to last year. So 3 out of his last 4, he's cleared this. So 3 straight games of 37 PRA or more went without Fox. But we also know he's hit the head-to-head. So let's take a look at the note from Outlier real quick. So he's exceeded 28.5 points, rebounds, and assists in 5 straight games at home. So on top of the absence of Fox now, he's also done this pretty well at home. So he's averaging 37.2 points, rebounds, and assists in his last 5 games at home. So looking pretty solid, going well above, we're getting it at 28.5. I think we're actually getting it, the line is 28, but we're getting it at 20, the line's 28.5, we're getting it at 28 flat. So there's just a lot of indicators here that are popping off to me. So in these last 5 home games, he's averaging 40 minutes. I would think if this game is somewhat manageable, if it's not that Orlando just completely drops the ball, but we know Orlando keeps their starters in pretty late, even with a deficit, like a pretty significant deficit. I think they're trying to figure out like how to get their groove back. So they're giving their guys extended run. I could not believe. I know that the Wendell Carter play last time that I put a video out was a bust. Everybody on the Magic was a bust that game. But for like the whole second half, their coach was running Paolo Banchero at the 5. And I thought that was so weird. So I don't regret taking the play. It was just weird coaching, in my opinion. But everybody was struggling that day. Anyways, I think that this should be. I mean, we'll see. Yeah. So if we're looking at the odds here, Vegas has the Kings favored by 5.5. So they're not like projecting a blowout. They're expecting to be within 6 points. 219.5 over under, playing in Sacramento. So I really like this. I think that there's a lot of good narrative here with Fox being moved. They're kind of like, okay, we're not only going to be moving forward with DeRozan, but we're going to go get his buddy Zach LaVine. We know they have history together. So I think it'll be fun to see how this plays out. Once again, expected value according to Outlier. Let's see what Daily Grind thinks. Oops, I don't know why I put an S in there. There it is. Okay, so they got the PRA as the top play for him on Prizepicks. They have it at a 52.97% odds to hit the over -131. And really mixed emotions. FanDuel has us down at 27.5, and literally everybody else has it at 28.5. We're getting it right there in the middle at 28. They also like his rebounds to go over 3.5 if you prefer that. 51.39% odds to hit the over -124. And they like his first quarter points. They also like his fantasy score over 31.5. I like the PRA. He hasn't been as active defensively lately, so just give me the points, rebounds, and assists. So CJ McCollum, another situation, one of his top players on his team didn't get traded, but DeJounte Murray's out for the season now. And I think this is going to be the Trey Murphy and CJ McCollum show on offense. The matchup, I was looking at both of these guys. Like I thought that Trey Murphy's PRA looks good too. It was a close call, but I ended up going with CJ. And just for really small differences here. If you take a look at the matchup, 24th in points allowed, 4th in rebounds allowed, 27th in assists allowed. So if you bump over to what Trey Murphy plays at small forward, it's almost identical. 23rd in points allowed, 4th in rebounds allowed, 28th in assists allowed. So like 1 point softer on assist matchup, 1 point more difficult on points matchup. And then, interesting. So I think both of these guys look good. I'll probably run some Trey Murphy later as well, but decided to go CJ for the video. In this last game, playing against the same team, in the same location, I believe. Yeah, playing in Denver once again. He popped off for 41 PRA. Another reason I like this a little bit better than Trey Murphy's play at PRA is Trey Murphy's is set at 31.5. We're getting this at 29.5. Let me just double check and make sure that's what I got it at. Yeah, 29.5. So just a little bit cheaper, but as far as rebounding and assisting, last time they matched up, he was pretty solid. 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and Trey Murphy went for 3 and 3 and put up like 40-something points. It was like at least 40 points, if I remember correctly. And so I think Trey is great. I'm a huge fan of him, but I don't want to just rely on, the main reason he killed that PRA last time they matched up was because he went nuts scoring. You can't always count on that happening, even if players are really solid. But we know that it's not that unusual for CJ to be knocking on the door of 30 points. But once again, if Trey cashed that last one by a lot, by going crazy on mostly scoring and only 3 rebounds, 3 assists, I just think that overall, CJ looks a little bit better since he had a little bit more of a mixed bag here on how he cleared his. So 3 out of his last 5 games, he's hit this. If we look at the head-to-head, he's done this in back-to-back matchups this year. So last time before that, on December 22nd, he went for 24 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists. So he matches up well against this team this year. This one where he didn't hit it was from last year. He's kind of been a little bit more in rhythm. But in these head-to-head games, he's averaged 35, just about 35 points. But let's look at, we have kind of too small of a sample size to dive into just the details of, being without DeJounte Murray. Let's just take a look. I think it's only a couple of games. But actually, let's take out Herb Jones because I want to see more recently. Brandon Ingram, Herb Jones, get them out of the equation as well. And yeah, we have 3 games here. One of those was against Denver. So this game against, when he didn't get it done here against Charlotte, that was like a random absolute blowout. Charlotte 123, Pelicans 92. So he only played 22 minutes in that game. This, obviously, there is a chance for blowout here. Let's take a look at it, get a little bit more details. So 239 over under, super high projection on points. And then we were over that double digit spread, 10.5 point spread favoring Denver, playing in Denver. And so you do have to be a little bit concerned about a blowout, but I think that he'll get plenty of minutes before they take him out, even if that is the case. So coming back here, if we look at that last game, he had 35 minutes and not as much of a blowout. They exceeded that 10-point spread. Denver won 125 to 113. But let's get back to, let's take this situation out and just look at his last 5 games. So he's averaging 32.8 minutes a game over these last 5, 6.6 rebound chances and 7.4 potential assists, just 2.4 fouls, keeping it relatively clean, shooting 41% from the field on 19.2 attempts. Trey Murphy was right around 20. These are very similar plays. So I'm comfortable with both. Like I said, it was a close call, but 33% from beyond the arc, 7.2 attempts a game over this 5-game stretch. He put up 9 3-pointer attempts in that last game against Denver, cashed 5 of them, 56%. So beautiful there. And let's see how much, overall, 22 attempts in that last game against Denver, cashed 10 of them, 45% overall. I love it. I think this is going to be an opportunity for us to capitalize on this for a little bit with until the odds makers really start bumping this up and the market makers and whatnot. Let's take a look at daily grind for CJ. Okay, they like his points assists over 25.5 a lot. They have that at 51.81% odds to hit the over minus 126. So they don't like the PRA. They have it slightly favored to the under, 51.57% odds to hit the under. But I mean, I like having those rebounds in there as well, because what is that? That's a 4-point bump, and in the head-to-heads, he has back-to-back games with 6 rebounds. So we're getting a pretty solid discount there by taking the full PRA. If I'm reading that right, 25.5 versus 29.5. Yeah, bump it up 4 for rebounding when he's averaging 6 against them in 2 different games. Yeah, I'll take that all day. Let's move on to Zach Edey here. Edey, I think it is Edey. I talk about so many different names. I mispronounce them all the time. So we have Desmond Bane out of this game, Brandon Clark game time decision, John Conchar, game time decision. Marcus Smart, maybe, I don't know if that would be his debut this year. Maybe he has played, but he's been out for a minute. The direct matchup, we've got, actually we're talking fantasy score. So I'm going to bump over to the PRA and just look at the matchup real quick. So overall as a team, 24th in points allowed, 13th in rebounds allowed, 14th in assists allowed. When we get over to the center position, it's pretty solid, like 18th in points allowed, 21st in rebounds allowed, 30th in assists allowed. And then we know that this dude is capable of popping off defensively. Let's take a look here. In his last 4 games, so his last game against the Spurs, 3 steals and a block. It hasn't been like super crazy, but it's there. We're capable here of him having a huge night defensively. This game back here on January 25th, 4 blocks, 2 steals against Utah. It just stacks up so quick when you're taking fantasy score. I literally never take a fantasy score prop unless there's defensive upside and lower risk for turnovers. The ratio of defensive upside versus turnovers just has to be, I like it to be at least double-ish, because the turnovers, you obviously lose a point for every turnover, and then for every block and steal, you get 3 points. So it can stack up quick. But if you have a guy who's averaging 1 to 2, blocks and steals and doing like 4 or 5 turnovers a game, it's not really worth it. I'd rather just take the PRA. So let's take a look here. So just regular here, cleared it 4 out of his last 5 fantasy score wise. Like, see how, he went for 45 fantasy score in that last game against the Spurs. Let's take a look at the head-to-head. So last time he played them on December 26th, and I like that this is pushed back a little ways because it's not just like, it kind of tells you a little bit more about the history when it's something like this. Like, we went for 49.2 fantasy score, and that was a crazy game, 155 to 126, but doubled his projection here, and that was on 27 minutes. Let's take a look at what those blocks and steals looked like. You would think that it was probably a pretty good outing. Just 2 blocks. Okay. So he must have went nuts with maybe scoring and rebounding. Let's take a look at the PRA. Yeah, 21 points, 16 rebounds, 2 assists. Yeah, so just give me the full fantasy score. Let's take a look here. Actually, that's for the rebounds and assists. We'll read that real quick too. So for the 19.5 points, rebounds, and assists, he's cleared it in 4 out of his last 5 games versus bottom 10 defenses for points allowed. So in those games, he averages 26.6 PRA, 80% hit rate. Let's see if we got a note for the fantasy score. We do. All right, so yeah, it looks nice. He's exceeded 24.5 fantasy score in 5 of his last 6 games, averaging 33.1. So nice bump there, 83% hit rate. But yeah, if he's averaging 33 and we're getting it at 24.5, I'll take that all day. And then let's take a look. Daily grind. Come on. I need some coffee. All right, so they don't like the fantasy score. Probably because BetMGM has it at 23 and Prizepicks has it at 24.5. So go with your gut. They do like the points rebounds over 18. That does sound great. If you prefer that, go for that. I just want that defensive upside attached there. But they've got the fantasy score favored to the under, 54.66 odds to hit the under, minus 120. Once again, the optimizer is comparing lines across all these different platforms and looking to see if you're getting a value or not. So they're seeing this is 1.5 points higher than the only other platform that they're noticing is offering it. So they're looking at that as like, this is a huge discrepancy. You can see show line discrepancies. I always keep that on with the way I use the optimizer. So according to my settings, it's saying like, hey, take this under because it's super expensive. But I'm totally okay with it in this case. But 9.5 points, they like that to go over. I think that looks great too. 52.61% odds hit the over, minus 131. And then the points rebounds over 18, 53.33% odds to hit the over, minus 133. They like his rebounds over 8. Yeah, a lot of stuff for him looks good to me too. The rebounds over 8 are at 52.05% odds hit the over, minus 127. I'll just take a little bit of everything and throw some defensive upside on there, take the fantasy score. But you guys have some options here if you do want to pivot to something other than what I'm taking. So let's wrap this up with Brandin Podziemski. before we do, let's just take a look at what this projection is for this game. Grizzlies. Okay, so 238 over under. Grizzlies favored by 10.5 playing in Toronto. And we do have like some reasonable. So we talked about Desmond Bane and on Memphis side, who's out, but RJ Barrett is also out as of an hour ago. Chris Boucher is game time decision as of an hour ago. And Jakob Poeltl is out as of an hour ago. Emmanuel quickly out. So Poeltl being out is a big deal. I think even if this does turn into a blowout, maybe they give the rookie some extra run. I think he's a rookie. He may be second year, but I'm pretty sure this is his first year. So yeah, I mean, there's all the indicators pointing in the direction of me liking this play. So let's talk Brandin Podziemski here. This is always a toss-up with Utah because, I mean, I bet you this is. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised what this spread's looking like, but yeah, so only a 6.5 point spread. It's so hit or miss. Like it's so just like, what's the word I'm looking for? Boom or bust with these spreads against Utah. Sometimes they're really competitive. And then other times, I mean, they're last in the West. So other times it's hard to get an actual gauge on this because it can turn into a blowout pretty quickly, like that game against Minnesota where we took Lauri Markkanen. Started off hot, went up by 14 points, quick adjustments by Minnesota, blowout, like where Anthony Edwards is just sitting for the fourth because they're up by so much. So we'll see how this pans out. It's kind of hard to trust this spread. 225 over under. Golden State favored by 6.5 playing in Utah. The reason, like my gut was saying, I was thinking like this could be one of those games where Utah doesn't show up, and they end up getting blown out. But if that does end up being the case, I think Podziemski will get a little bit of extra run. There's a chance Draymond can play tonight. Moses Moody, game time decision. Andrew Wiggins, game time decision. But I think Andrew Wiggins has been upgraded to probable last I checked for the Jazz. Taylor Hendricks obviously still out. Lauri Markkanen, game time decision. Colin Sexton out. PJ Tucker, still out. So yeah, Brandin Podziemski cleared this 4 out of his last 5. Let's look at this matchup real quick. Okay, so to the shooting guard position. That is beautiful. Just pure green. 27th in points allowed, 28th in rebounds allowed, 28th in assists allowed. Let's look at the head-to-head real quick. All right, look at that. He's never not hit it against the Jazz. 6 out of 6. His last outing was on January 28th. He went for 33 PRA, 20 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. This kid can do everything. He's pretty awesome, up and coming player. So let's take a little note from Outlier real quick. He's exceeded 16.5 points, rebounds, and assists in 5 out of his last 6 games on the road, averaging 21 points, rebounds, and assists, 83% hit rate. So that's almost a 25% bump, of what he's averaging on the road versus what we're getting this line at 16.5. So I really like this play a lot. I like getting a little bit of everything. Now let's just take a little bit of a look at his last 5 games. So we know he cleared this 4 out of his last 5. One more bucket would have cashed it against Orlando here. 104-99. Warriors pulled that one out. 23.6 minutes a game, just 1 foul, keeping it real clean. 53% from the field, not shooting that much. 8.6 attempts, averaging 4.6 made buckets. And wow, so he's averaging 8.6 attempts and 6.2 attempts from beyond the arc, 45% from beyond the arc, 2.8 made threes a game over this 5-game stretch. This is in 23 minutes, like pretty impressive. 6.4 rebound chances, 7 potential assists. It's looking solid to me. I don't think that there's much more to go over. The head-to-head looks great. And then we know that he's been popping off on the road too. So, and this game, and this is a game that was relatively close, 114-103. And how many minutes did I say he got? So 32.5 minutes in a close game. If Moody ends up not playing, I think he'll get some extended run, but I think he's good to clear 16.5 regardless. So let's see if Daily Grind agrees with me here. Okay, so they love his fantasy score as the top play. So if you prefer that, take that. 52.07% odds hit the over -108. Points, assists under, points under. They do like the PRA to go over. Not as juiced as the fantasy score, but still favored to go over. 50.89% odds hit the over. Minus 122. And yeah, this is, everyone's just got this at 16.5, and just about everybody's got it favored to go over. You have some 50-50 shots. DraftKings has it at minus 115. And then let's see, we got some of these platforms have heavy juice, minus 144 for this to go over. They also like his points, rebounds on daily grind. So you have some pivot options here. Let me dive into some of his defense, just in case you guys do want to take that fantasy score. So this is just the head-to-head where he's cleared it every time on the PRA. Not too bad. I mean, his last outing on January 28th, he only had 1 steal, so that's not getting you that much. And then, 2 blocks and steals the time before that, which was also this season. And then last season, 2 steals. Now we'll just quickly look at the turnovers. Okay, so his last outing, he had 3 turnovers. So that just cancels out the 1 steal, 1 block, something like that. So yeah, I'll just take the PRA. I know I base it off of defensive upside, but that's not like the only thing that matters. Someone like him who is capable of popping off for assists, those can stack up too, because rebounds are worth 1.2 fantasy points and assists are worth 1.5. So if you have a game where you're popping off for 6, what would that be? 9 points for that instead of just the 6 points we're getting for a regular assist line on the PRA. But I'm thinking I'll just take the PRA. But if you do want that fantasy score, it doesn't look too bad. I think that 22 is totally doable. But it's kind of like baked in, 16.5. If we clear that and he does get something like 6 assists, you're getting like a net 3 points there, and then the fantasy score's up at 22 anyway, so I think it's a little bit baked in. So this is where I kind of disagree, but once again, they're just noticing, hey, this is at 22 on Prizepicks and 22.7 on BetMGM, so they're just noticing a discrepancy where it's a little cheaper, so they like that as far as finding the value with discrepancies across platforms. But that's going to do it, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. I'm going to be trying to get back into the groove here and work out my new schedule. I wanted to get this video out earlier today, and I got like 2 hours of sleep last night. I finally got to sleep at I think 5:30 a.m. So my new baby girl was just up all night, but appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to like the video. Show me a little bit of love with the algorithm. If you guys want to check out Outlier, I love this tool. It is truly my cornerstone for my research, and you can try it out for free. You can, if you do that week trial, make sure you just have some fun with this thing. Look at the Insights tab, dive into all these different settings, see, play around with taking players in and out of the equation. You really get to know it. I would say, just spend some quality time with this, because there's so much you can do. I didn't even get into minutes because I already like the way a lot of these plays look, but you guys see in some of these videos where I'll get into adjusting the minutes. It's awesome when you have this minutes slider here. And you can just adjust to hey, what is he doing when he's getting at least 25 minutes a game, 26 minutes a game, and it just pulls it right up for you. He's slaying it when he's getting 26 minutes a game in the head-to-head. So those kind of things are huge for my research. And then you have all these positional matchups. They cover all the different matchup breakdowns, injury reports, really up to date. Underdog is always up ahead of everybody as far as updating you on injuries, but this is pretty solid too. And the thing I like about it is they usually have, a lot of times they'll have a little note for you on what the current status is and what it is that they're dealing with. They always give you an explanation, left calf strain, right ankle sprain, back strain, different things like that. But a lot of times it's clickable. You can get a little write up about it right here on your tool. And then this Insights tab, just statistically catching things that you might not notice. I like in particular that it'll tell me stuff like, hey, they've cleared this in 7 out of their last 8 games against bottom 10 defenses for assists allowed. That kind of stuff is not stuff that I'm going to just be going and manually searching myself. So go try it out for a week. Sign up below. You don't have to put in a code. Just sign up through the link and they'll give you a week for free. And then if you guys want to check out the DFS optimizer from Daily Grind, use code BACKDOOR. Excuse me. code BACKDOOR over at dgfantasy.com, and they'll give you 25% off your first purchase. So if you lock this in all the way up to a year, they'll let you go from a month to a year. You make the decision how long you want that discount, but that's down below as well. dgfantasy.com, code BACKDOOR. Have a great day, guys. Enjoy this 11-game slate. I'll catch you in the next one.